I'm kind of going to be talking about really is just being liberated by telling your story. Being liberated by telling your story. And so what I'm going to be doing here today is kind of just sharing some poetry and just kind of telling you a little bit about my story. And I plan on getting liberated just a little bit more by just telling my story here. But I really write about how I see the world and how the world sees me and the discrepancy between the two sometimes. So just a little bit about myself. I'm actually from the south side of Chicago, Inglewood to be exact, and everything that kind of goes along with being in the inner city, that was my life. And so from drugs, alcohol, violence, domestic violence, gang violence. So while that was going on around me, and if you was to ask me what was kind of the hardest part, a close friend of mine asked me that not too long ago, what was the hardest part? And for me, it wasn't the violence, and that might trip you out a little bit. It was not having a voice. And it was being ignored. Not just, I was too young to recognize societal influences, but it was not having a voice in my household, not having a voice within my school, not having a voice and being invisible. And so, as a kid, especially you're in the inner city and you're at risk, people have this tendency like you can be whoever you want to be. You ever being a kid and people telling you, oh, you can be whoever you want to be? Who remembers that? You remember that, don't you? I'm like, okay, I kind of caught on to it, but I'm seeing everything around me. I'm seeing my mom on drugs, shooting up. I'm in a crack house myself. I'm seeing all these different things, but people telling me I can be whoever I want to be. So it really kind of got to this point where I was like, are they lying? Are they lying to me? And so by happenstance, I wound up coming to Iowa. Don't tell me how I got to Iowa. I didn't want to come to Iowa, just to be honest. I didn't want to. The admissions counselor was actually a good friend of mine now and mentor. Jason Wilson was like, we got a place for you here. We have a spot here for you. And I was like, thank you, but I'm not coming. And I walked off. And I was dead serious. Like, I'm not coming to Iowa. And so I go to college, and here I am, I'm the first person in my family to go to college. The first person to graduate from high school without being pregnant and just all these different things like that. And I get there, and I'm thinking it's going to be like magic. Like everything else was going to kind of go away, but it didn't. The same drama and negativity that was at home was still at home. My mom was still on drugs. My brothers and them were still disinterested me. I still didn't have a voice. And I had faculty who was supportive, but I also had a lot of faculty where I didn't fit the mold, so they didn't know how to interact with me. I wasn't like the other Chicago kids. I was articulate. I did my homework, and I actually knew what I was talking about. I wasn't supposed to do that, though. So that got me in trouble, believe it or not. I remember them telling me things like, you're not the police of the world, Tiffany. Be careful who you pick to be your leader of your group. Things like that, and I'm confused. And I'm still asking myself, are people lying to me? Because if you're lying to me, just tell me that you're lying so I can move on. Just tell me the truth and stop telling me I can be whoever I want to be. So I found myself writing to myself this poem called Wings. And I said, they say I can be whoever I want to be. Because I have wings and I can fly to the sky of everlasting opportunity. But nothing comes from nothing. I come from hand-washed clothes and thrift stores, beans and fried chicken wings, no running water, working lights, crack pipes and heroin, fist fights and phone targets, denial and confusion, then depression, and then hopelessness. That is why nothing comes from nothing, but you still telling me I can still be something? I guess you're not hearing me because I come from mistresses and illegitimate children. Illiteracy but diplomas, rocks, blows, dimes, sacks to nickels, visual exploitation, verbal molestation. foundation with no support? How am I supposed to make something out of my life that doesn't mirror what I left behind? How am I supposed to love a man, marry a man, when eventually marriage is always in just one more person to up and leave again? How am I supposed to have children with no models? How am I supposed to have children without the ability to truly attach? How am I supposed to have children without destroying their futures with my flaws? How am I supposed to be something when nothing comes from nothing, and that's where I'm from? Nothing. The courage to never forget, the determination to be different.